Hello and welcome to Metro AV Tech Tips. I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
And today, for the first time, we're out of the studio. We're in the real world.
Okay, so this is the first time we're officially out of the studio because we've been out of the studio before.
Well, I've escaped
with
on
things
occasion.
going on. Yeah, you've escaped and I've escaped.
And we've done stuff in the warehouses and
sure, yeah, we've done
we did a
interesting
show
things.
at the beach house.
Did we do a show at the beach house?
Yeah, remember we did a Friday show at the beach house.
I don't remember doing that.
In the garage at the beach house.
Ah, we did. We recorded something there, didn't we? That's right. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so anyways, we are out of the studio, guys. We're really happy and excited. Out of the studio, out of the lab. We're really excited about this. We're out here now. Of course, as always, thank you for checking out our video today. If you have any questions about whatever it is that we're talking about, please leave it down in the comment section or over in the chat section over there. Or if you're watching this on Facebook, again, I still don't know where the chat section is on Facebook. I think it's over there. It might be down there. I'm not sure. Either way, go ahead and leave us some comments. Leave it over in the chat, wherever it's at. If you are watching this after the fact, leave your questions or comments in the comments section for us, because we do monitor those and we try to respond to those as quickly as possible. But as you can tell, we, of course, are not in the studio.
No, and in fact, we're in a local dealer's garage, and we're thrilled to death to be here because this particular dealer, Precise Audio, is one of the most organized individuals I have ever met in my life.
Yes, this is with his background. I'm not sure if it was something that was just ingrained in him from his childhood, his parents, or if he learned this through some of the jobs that he's worked. But this is probably one of the most organized locations that I've been in when it comes to an installer's warehouse. And what we're soon to see is in the truck.
Today's what's on your truck now? Just for what it's worth. There's no air conditioning in the bay because this is Florida and it's a bay.
Yes, that's true.
And you're glistening.
I am about ready to I need to jump in the pool after this is what I need to do. So, but yeah, no, we're here to talk about this. Brent, let's
get started. So we're both very excited about this. Honestly, we've been here 2 hours getting set up and going over his truck and just oohing and eyeing and getting overly. Oh yeah.
Good stuff.
But you've got Yeah. So please open.
Let's go ahead.
Before we get going, please note.
Oh, look at that! Here we are, right?
I appreciate that.
We got to get him one of our new, get him our new logo on here. Is what we need to do. That'll be the next thing. Let's get her opened up, Brent. Okay, so if your truck does not look this clean, what are you doing?
You're 99.9% of the people out there.
That's true. No, and I will say that this truck here, because I'm sure that the comment is out there that no working truck is going to be this clean. I'm sorry, that's not true because this is a working truck.
And it is.
Yeah.
And I've been on job sites with Chris, so this is not because he knew we were coming.
Right.
I've been to the job sites and it's like, Chris, I need this, and he goes out there and there it is. Yeah. It's just amazing.
What you're going to see here in a little bit is the labeling work that's been done in this. And again, we're kudos and thanks to Chris from Precise to be, how he works and stuff. We're going to be talking a lot about that. But mostly what I want today to be is this is an aspiration for you guys out there. It's an aspiration for myself to be able to reach this point in keeping things organized and having the stuff that you need on the truck.
More importantly.
Yes. And that's really what today really comes down to, right? Is talking about what are some really cool things or what are some things that need to be on the truck that you think are, definitely necessary or nice to have.
This is a conversation that Adam and I have a lot.
Yeah.
Because since Adam's no longer doing this day to day, he's generally working out of a Jeep.
Yeah.
And I'm either in the Miata or the Explorer, so I don't have what I had when I was an active integrator.
Yeah.
And it can be sometimes very frustrating well, did you bring? No, I thought you brought.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's one of the things that when we see a truck like this, even when I was doing installations in the truck that I was in, the Sprinter van that I had, at the end of the day, it did not look like this. And the next morning, it still did not look like this. But I will say that it was one of the things that what's really nice about having a truck like this is that it allows you to be a rolling workshop, right?
100%.
Is really the goal of what you're trying to do. Obviously, you're working in either someone's home or in their business, and so you don't really have the means to, put down like a saw of some kind if you need to, fabricate something right there on site. Whereas typically not, but in many cases, you're going to be working out of the back of your truck, and so that's where you really want to make sure that this thing is built to where you can use it. I'm sure we're going to see some things that. Just how Chris works in his daily, work.
Well, it's not just how Chris works; it's how he expects his employees to work.
Yeah, and that's also very important.
And because the idea is that an employee can step into any of the vehicles, and we got lots of questions about that with Chris. But it's a standardized organization. It's not one truck is this way, another truck is that way.
Yeah, and that was another thing that we talked about with Chris as we were getting prepared for this episode was how does he maintain his trucks? Because one, it's cool it's nice to know what's on the truck, but it's also important to know that it's going to be there in every time you get in that truck or every time you move from truck to truck, because he has more than just one truck. He has more than one employee. And because of that, every employee that maybe has to jump from one truck to another for various reasons. Maybe one guy has already taken the truck out and he's on a job site and they need another truck for a different job that's come up.
Or perish the thought, a maintenance issue.
A maintenance issue, yeah. And these are things that if you maintain and have just a strict guideline of this has to be on the truck or it has to be set up in a specific way, that maintains and makes sure that everyone knows where everything is at. It's like the idea of when you go to, let's say for instance you work at McDonald's or Taco Bell or whatever else, for the most part, their setup is the same from store to store to store.
Which is why I like shopping Target.
Right. Yeah, everything's in basically the same spot, right?
Yep.
And so then at that point, it allows you to know exactly where things are at when you're trying to do your job. And so when you have a truck and, multiple trucks, if everything is laid out in basically the same locations, because I believe Chris has multiple trucks.
And multiple sizes.
Yeah, different sizes. But as long as everything is in the basic same location, you're pretty well set. Yep. You don't really have to worry too much about it.
Now, we've got a couple of different things happening today. First off, Adam and I were just ogling the truck, and seriously, it's ogling.
Yes.
I'm going to do a little bit of an interview with Chris because there's a lot of things he does that I'm just in awe of.
Yeah.
And then I'll step back, and Adam's going to take another view of the truck, which is also simply amazing.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask Adam to step aside and Mr. Lozano to step in.
Bring Chris on in.
Thank you.
First off, Chris, thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Really do appreciate this. And as said earlier, Adam and I, we got here 2 hours early to set up and just, and what you guys don't see in this shot is the rest of the shop, which matches the truck. So just the level of detail and organization. And a couple of things, and one of the things you mentioned to me earlier is you lay out exactly what's going to go in a job, and if they change stuff, without telling you, it's not a happy day for you.
Right.
Because you were talking about 4-meter cables that were scheduled for a job, and they wind up taking 3 meters, and the 4s were already scheduled in and labeled, and because you prep everything before it goes to the job site, is my understanding.
Absolutely, and at the end of the day, we pull what has been pulled from the van, and we restock it then, and we rotate all the product that comes in and goes out.
So first in, first out.
For sure, all the time.
How much time do you have the guys back in the shop at a specific time each day?
We do, and they're typically pretty good about doing it at the end of the day. If they've pulled 3 4-meter HDMIs, I'll normally, before I leave, have 3 already pulled out of rotation for them to take with them. But sometimes they tell me that they needed 3 of one and it was actually 3 of another, so I'll do sneaky little things like mark the cables to see if they're actually doing what they say they are. I know it's a little bit sneaky, but I like to know that they're taking the time to make sure that first in, first out
it also
is being
covers
followed.
your cost.
Sure.
I mean, how do you track your cost if you don't know what they're using?
Right.
So one of the things that we had talked briefly is your organizational skills. And again, I've been on job sites with you before, not as an employee, but just to go out and go, ooh.
Yeah, we
Are
appreciate
to bring
that.
you pieces that you wind up needing on a takeover job.
Yeah.
Because fortunately, you're just around the corner from us. Your tool bag organization is incredible. And part of this, the whole purpose of this is what's in your truck, what you carry. Can you show me your basic kit that goes with you, regardless of which vehicle you, Chris, are in? What do you carry for your basic toolkit?
Sure. Well, I have my tech bag, which is my go-to. But I also have my pouch bag. It is, and it's great. I've got a couple of them. My guys also have a few of these, and we all love them. We work out of them daily. They last. They hold a lot of tools for their size. But I also have my pouch bag, which is basically what I put on when I get onto a job, and I have this as a backup in case somebody's working with me and they don't have their tools for whatever reason.
So the tools are basically identical?
For the most part, yeah. There's a couple things that didn't make it into the pouch, but...
Just size?
Yeah, but basically screwdrivers, strippers, cutters,
yeah, I assume you have it all in one. And this is one of the things, because we've talked about this in our video. Do you have a voltometer on your truck?
Yes, I do. Every one.
Because you'd be amazed at how many tech calls we get. It's like, yeah, go get your voltometer.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. How about your strippers? Oh,
Right.
I'm in my personal vehicle today. It was just a quickie stop.
Yeah.
So I've never seen you in anything other than a work-related vehicle.
Right.
I'm going to have to assume that in the event something weird happens where you've got to go to a job site and you're either already left the shop or out to dinner or something and that emergency comes up, do you keep a kit in your regular car as well?
I do, absolutely. And a set of drills everywhere I go. And for a long time, I would take stuff out of my van at the end of the day to put back into my vehicle, but then I ended up just duplicating everything so that it's there when I need it. And again, if I bring my personal vehicle here in the morning and somebody's forgotten their tools, then I have another set that I can, you know, give them for the day without jeopardizing another employee and having to share tools.
Drive home and
yeah.
That's awesome. Now, one of the things you have been a big purveyor of, and you've showed us this at the shop a couple of times, is the Milwaukee stacks.
For sure. We love the pack out.
You've got one right behind you there, which Adam and I were both going, ooh, when we saw the vacuum cleaner. Adam, would you roll in the Milwaukee pack for us?
You know, actually, I was thinking about this. Am I unmuted? Yeah, I'm good. One of the things I was talking about with Chris before this is that there's so much Milwaukee here. We should have reached out to Milwaukee and gotten some kind of
got an ad revenue,
some kind of advertisement for it. So now this is the one thing that I like about this. I'm actually going to step in here really quick. One thing that I really like about these pack outs, I've used them in the past. The one that I've used is the kind that leans, and I think that it's a lot like that one that's off camera over there.
Yeah, with the kind of a dolly.
Yeah, a dolly style. Yeah. Whereas this one actually, the dolly, that they actually call this one the dolly, right?
They do.
That carries it. But the pack out's great. If nothing else, you look professional. Rolling into a job with a pack out like this, one, you're making all of the other trades jealous by rolling on with something like this, or make them look bad. But it's also for the client. It makes it look like the fact that you're serious. You're coming onto this job. You're a professional. You're coming out there with the tools, with the equipment that's necessary to make this job happen the way that it should. And
finish it.
And finish it. And that's the thing, because the term trunk slammer gets used a lot in our industry. And not to bash the guys that are working out of, they're brand new, they're starting off, or whatever it is, they're working out of or they're retired,
or they're us,
who work out of our own personal vehicles. But we're not taking on clients per se. We have one client basically. But with something like this, when you get to the point where you can finally invest in yourself as a business,
and this is an investment in my opinion.
It definitely is. I think we did the math on this one before the show.
Yeah, it's funny because I talking to Chris earlier on, it's like,
I knew you were going to throw it in there.
Yeah, I am. I am. Because I don't get a whole lot of rights.
Yeah.
It's like, how much was this? $1,000? Oh no, $500-600, and then they started adding it up, and what did it add up to?
$1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah, that's without the tools.
Yeah.
That's just the system. But here's the thing. Every one of us has spent $100 on a good crimp tool or a good RJ45 tool. It's a tool. It's like, you're not going to buy your power drivers from Harbor Freight.
Correct.
You're going to go buy real Bosch or DeWalt or Milwaukee or a real tool that's going to last, because it's our paycheck. Mm-hmm. So why would you chintz out and buy a $10 tray that's not going to stay clipped shut to put your connectors or your screws in, because they're all going to get messed up anyway?
We've all been there.
We have all been there, and then they fall out all over your vehicle, or I need a 22 gauge, and no, that's we're the 22s. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
This is amazing, and this did not exist when I was actively installing. There was a German company where this would have been $3,000.
Sure.
But that was it. This is amazing.
So real quick, I'm going to be the voice off camera real quick.
Oh, that's my job.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, Chris, when I think I told you I wouldn't ask this question, but I think I kind of need to, because it's going to come in perfect with this. Now, one of the topics of today was, what is something that not everyone's going to have on their truck that you think they should?
Wait. You specifically told Chris.
I know.
You were not going to ask this question.
I know, but I think honestly, I know I did. But and if this is too much for that, I apologize. But I guess the question would be better in maybe your pack out, like when or not your pack out, pardon me, but your bag. In that bag, is there something that, I mean, obviously you've been doing this a while, and so out of your bag that these are tools that you're going to need on almost every job. Mm-hmm. And in that bag, is there anything in there that you think most guys probably don't have? Maybe there's something like a specific tool set or a specific driver or a specific something in there that maybe they don't have, but it's something that kind of sticks out to you as you put this in there for a specific purpose.
I think because most of us follow each other on social media and YouTube and other platforms, we typically would all have the same arrangement of tools, whether or not they're the same brand may be different, but the whole front of this bag is basically what I need on any job that I go to. The back side's got a couple other tools as well, but again, the front of this bag, my drivers, my cutters, my strippers, that's the same stuff that I'm going to have in my pouch. And over time, as my guys work with me, they realize, okay, yeah, we should have these in my main go-to pouch, right? That's on me all the time.
Right.
So as far as one specific, there's not one because there's many.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a tool you showed me that I did not realize, the Klein 10-in-1 screwdriver.
The new heavy duty, yeah.
That is an awesome 10-in-1.
Yeah.
Most guys go down and buy the $4 ones at the checkout counter.
Right.
But this one had some stuff on it you don't normally see in a 10-in-1. It's like.
And to be honest, my guys can tell you when they introduce a new tool, sometimes I'm not on board with it. It takes me a few times of using that tool before I decide to put it in my bag. If it's in this bag and it came out of one of their bags originally, then they get props for it. And they're excited to know that, oh, he really does like that tool. And sometimes my guys will give me a gift for Christmas or whatever holiday, and if it makes it in this bag, it makes them feel proud,
Because you're actually working with it.
Right, and then they see the value in the fact that I agree that
would you open it up and show us your arrangement there?
Got to take my safety glasses out and my headlamp. I don't know if the camera can quite see everything that's in here, but
that's very organized.
It is. I've got my compression tool, I've got my network tester, my modular crimper for RJ45 connections and RJ11. Stripping tool, which I'm not a huge fan of this one. I do like to use the one that I actually buy from you guys.
Thank you. Hint, hint.
I like to use this for coax, speaker wire. I don't really use it for category cables because for that I use my modular.
Don't worry, Chris, your check's on the way. Thanks for talking about our.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, I mean, you got to have a level, you got to have your flush cuts, you've got to have something for testing coax connections. And this tool recently we realized that because Planet Waves, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble saying that brand, but they no longer have a testing tool to test their cables once you put on their fittings. And their fittings are not always 100%. So we were finding out in the field that if we had to troubleshoot a problem, say an audio matrix wasn't passing audio to one zone, we were taking the cables apart, making sure that the screw got all the way down into the dielectric, and then putting them back together. Well, we've already compromised the cable now because we already took it back, we opened it back up.
You don't know where the problem is.
With this, with the right adapters to go to RCA, you can test your cable efficiently. Yeah, so that actually was not in my bag until probably the last 3 or 4 months it made it in here. And everything fits really tight, nothing ever moves. Got to have a stubby driver for every drive. Got to have your Allen key sets.
Now, is that a security Allen key set, or do you have the Star Security?
I do, and also a gift from one of my employees. On the back side is Klein's new security bit set.
Oh.
Thanks, Jared. He got me that one. That was a great tool, great purchase, by the way. You could be up on a ladder troubleshooting an IP camera or a coax camera.
Have security screws in them.
That's got every bit you could possibly need in there.
It's got the security flatheads.
Yeah. Make sure I get that back, Adam.
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. he didn't hand me a screwdriver. I don't know what you're talking about. No, this is great. This it's got basically the security flatheads. It's got the security Torx bits.
Yeah. Typically don't find that in the stores, though. I think you ordered that either on Amazon or.
I'm going to be completely out of focus on this one, but this is a great little tool. Let's see, we'll get
it really
a little bit more with all that in there. Maybe we should reach out to Klein and Milwaukee both and be like, hey, we talked about we talked about all your stuff on here.
That's awesome.
And make sure you put it back in there the right way, though.
Yes. Point down, right? So you can grab the handle?
Yeah, and all the way down.
Yep. And this is a 9-volt, 7.5 volt?
That's just a little 12-volt that I use when I'm assembling racks. I don't like the guys to take full-on 18-volt drills. And over-torque the screws.
Yeah, because you're using impact drivers.
Yeah, and this you can set the, I've had this thing forever. It's old and beat up, but it's been my go-to. It's perfect for racks.
Nice, small, lightweight.
Yeah.
Chris, talk about the tool that's there, the little yellow piece. You actually made a comment about this, and I'm really glad that you did make the comment about it. But first off, what is that tool?
This allows you to test electrical receptacles. It'll show you, as you can see here, if it's done correctly, you'll get the 2 green lights here. Open ground, open neutral, open hot, hot and neutral reversed, hot and ground reversed. You can test the GFI by pushing the button. A lot of guys already have these. Klein makes them. Gardner Bender, they make a really good one that you can't really find anymore. Greenlee makes a good one. The reason I bought this one, they had them on clearance at Lowe's. They had two different ones. One was like $15 and one was 20 bucks. I got this one because it has this little audible, alert to let you know, so that you can hear that it's on. If you did happen to be 3 feet from the panel, you'd be able to hear this thing. But that does not in fact work unless you call yourself and you have one phone next to this. So to me, that I would buy the $15 one all day long.
And this is great to have because there's no promise electricians are actually following absolute polarity on their outlets.
That's
the light turns on.
Right.
It's fine.
Well, and that would be something that would also help guys that are having issues with grounding
which we see a lot of in tech calls.
Right. Well, and we even had another dealer here locally we were doing some work with, and they had that problem. They had at the pole, they had a bad neutral at the pole is what they ran into.
And if you haven't seen it yet, we had an excellent show with one of our electricians from Metra, specifically discussing grounding issues on the 110 side. Please go back and look at it in our library.
For sure.
One thing I would like to say also that's handy about having that tool, and also we call these things a ticker. Everybody's got to have one of these. My guys were out in DeLand, which isn't too far, but it's about 35-40 minutes away from here, troubleshooting a Sunbright TV. They thought that they didn't have electric at the receptacle. They did not have a meter on the van. Now they do. All I was able to have them use was this ticker to see if there was power coming down the 3-prong plug. It did. Come to find out, it was an issue with the Sunbright TV, but here they are spending a lot of time not realizing that this was all they needed. They could have been in and out if they had just touched this to the cable to see that the cable is getting power from the receptacle. Or they could have unplugged the TV, plugged that in to see that
check the device.
It is in fact correct.
I also noticed a toner and a toning wand.
You have to have a toner and a wand in every single van. There's different variations. A lot of them are all made in the same place. They just put their different brand on them. I like the Greenlee. Greenlee's nice because it's got the 3.5 out if you want to plug in a set of headphones. Don't ever really find a use for that though, but we use these all the time. I've actually got 3 of them. I've got one in here, one in that bag, and then I also have one in my book bag, which is where I have my computer, my laptop. So we use them quite a bit. But again,
decent toner's 90 bucks now, I think.
Yeah, 90 bucks. Unless you're shopping. Oh, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. I did buy one recently. It was $135, and then I got back in the car, looked it up online, and that same tester was 94 something. And then when I brought it back into the store, the guy gave me a really hard time. And it is a custom electrical supply house, but I didn't appreciate the attitude that I got.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I could save $35 and I'm buying 5 of them or 6 of them, then
that buys the 5th one.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to have your safety glasses too.
Real quick, Chris, we had a question from the YouTube channel. They want to know which bag is that?
So this is the Tech MC.
Would you
it
pick
is
it up first?
It's very easy to confuse because they do have several of these. When I first went to this size bag, I actually bought this one. I can't remember the other one. I think it's the same size, but it's not the same arrangement inside. So I bought one of each. I liked this one better, so I kept this one, and then I gave the other one away. When I originally got this bag, it was great, but after you lug this thing up a few flights of stairs, I mean, this has a lot of stuff. The bag itself is heavy. Once you add all the tools to it, it becomes even more heavy. So some of my guys love this bag. A couple of them go with the much larger bags, and then they carry them into the jobs on the carts. But for me, anywhere I go, I just throw that over my shoulder with my book bag, and I'm pretty set to do anything.
At this point, at least in my career, I'm not doing the major work. I'm going there to fine-tune something or programming. So this, for me, is absolutely, I mean, you still, even at this point, I'm still having to get in there and put my heavy magnifying glasses on and do some stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that there's anything I need to do that I can't do with what you've done.
Correct.
In that bag. Anything that requires what goes in that bag, I'm going to get somebody younger, sturdier, and probably making less money than me to do it.
So that's the yeah, right? That's the Vito
Tech
Pro
MC.
Pack? Tech MC?
Yeah, it's a Tech MC.
Okay.
And that's the Tech LC.
Tech LC, large.
And I will tell you, the first time that I worked out of this bag, I realized that I needed that small 12-volt drill. So it made it in there. I needed a voltmeter, so that made it in there. I since then took the voltmeter out to go in one of Klein's little voltmeter pouches, just because it protects it better. And I mean, this bag will protect it, but those meters are a couple $100 for a good one. And if you care of them, they will last you 10 to 20 years. I mean, the one that I have, my father gave me when I was 18 years old, and I'm 40 now, so
Yeah,
I've had that for 22
about
years.
that being a child.
Yeah.
I do have a question, because
Sure.
I've been looking at this Milwaukee bag here, and I don't recognize it. What is that?
So this is a tool that I'm very grateful for. My employee Sean had purchased this for me for Christmas. This is a 12
You
volt.
must like Sean.
Oh, I love
Sean
all my
must like
guys.
you.
My guys are great. I take care of them. They take care of me. This is a 12 volt inspection little camera tool. I could have actually used this the other day going on a job behind Adam, but I didn't have this in the van. We were trying to find some wiring
Did you
that
cut the
Adam.
wire short?
No, but we were trying to find some wiring up in a ceiling, and apparently we were like 5 or 6 feet away from it. Where we put the speakers was not where Adam had planned to put the speakers. But if my guys had this on the van, they could have stuck this up in the hole that we cut for the speaker, and they could have found
So
the
they're
wire.
on the other van without that.
Right, so this is one of those that now that we have it, I'm gonna have to buy multiple because the guys are gonna use it, and I'm a big fan of having the right tool for the job. It makes it more efficient. Don't have to go back. I hate when we finish a job and then we find out that we
Less
didn't have
patching.
something to finish. And that leads me back to like the pack out. The reason it's great for us is because one day we were on a job, and my guys have heard this story so many times, but we were on a job up in Ormond Beach, and I had to take a phone call. So I went out to my pickup truck, I got on the phone. As I'm on the phone, I'm looking over at my van, and my guys are coming out to the van to disassemble things, to pull stuff in, or pull stuff out to bring into the job. And then a minute later, another one of them's coming back to grab something else. So I like to be more efficient. Less trips, the better. Get what you need, bring it inside once, you work out of it. And I'm always a fan of not putting it away until you know that you absolutely don't need it, because that happens a lot too. And then the cart, which you can't see in the picture, that
Wheel
we
it on
actually
over here, Adam.
we actually keep those pretty empty, and we've always tried to come up with a solution of how to pack that with the right tools. And Pack Out hasn't really came out with any dividers to go in it, but I like to try to encourage my guys to use the cart just to put the stuff in for the job. If you need 4.4-meter HDMIs, an optical cable, digital audio converter, any other
Small
accessories,
tchotchkes, yeah.
you just put them in the cart. Bring the cart inside. You can throw your bundle of Romex in there if you do high voltage also.
Well, I tell you what I liked is, because Adam was doing it earlier, it's a great programming table.
Yeah, that's why Adam asked if he could use it earlier. But
So
How'd you pull it out of the truck just so I could put my laptop on it for today?
yeah,
that's not what he told Chris at the time.
No, of course not.
I'm a big fan of efficiency. I like, I pay my guys well, and I like to know that they're not having to run back out to the van every single
Yeah,
time they
because
need
that's costing
something.
you money.
Yeah.
Now, we had
And the
talked.
clients sometimes see that, and they're like, oh, well, we're paying these guys how much an hour,
To
and
make
they keep
multiple
having to go out
trips,
to the van. And luckily, none of my guys are smokers, so the client doesn't have to worry
Well,
about
it cuts down trips to Home Depot,
Yeah.
Lowe's, and other places, which also upsets customers. Now, how many vehicles do you currently have out in the field?
We have 5 right now, but we did order a couple weeks ago 2 more. So we will have 7 up and running.
What sizes and what are they?
I've got 2 identical Dodge 2018s like this that the interior is exactly mirrored from one to the other. So if somebody's working out of this one day and then they go into the next one the next day, a single gang box is going to be in the same spot, 4-meter HDMI is going to be in the same spot, nothing changes. The smaller vans are geared a little bit differently. I do have currently 2 small vans, and I'm about to have a 3rd. And then I've got 2 Ford 250 vans that are slightly bigger than this with a high roof. And the reason we like the high roof is because you can hang an 8-foot ladder right in the
Inside.
center of the van and still walk in there and get everything you need.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They work out great. This van, I think, is one of my favorites because of the size, because it can get into tighter places. It can fit in parking garages.
Condos and
Exactly. The big one, we can't bring it everywhere. Some places we have to park it outside, and then thanks for this, the guys can wheel all their stuff to the job rather than carrying the tools.
awesome. Now,
So, well, real quick, one thing that I noticed also, and again, the voice off the camera, one thing I noticed here, and it actually took for me standing back here to notice it, I don't see any other ladders except for the step ladder in the truck or on the truck. Was there a reason for that in your design, or was it just a convenience thing and make the truck look as nice as it can be?
Well, at first I had a ladder rack on the top of this, and then I had taken it down because there were some flaws in the rack itself. And once the guys went to try to fix the shocks on it, they realized that it was a bad design. And my vans are all kept inside every night. Never had it been like outside overnight. And when they went up there to assemble the new shocks, they realized that it was already rusting. So the company that I won't mention right now eventually switched to all aluminum. So I will be putting, not on this one because this is mine, and if I need a ladder, I just put it in the van. But my other one like this that Eric drives, that one will have a rack on the top to hold, extension ladder and probably a 10-foot ladder.
So this one of the nice ones that lets you slide the ladder off, or do you have to
It's
crawl up
supposed to, when you grab the little rail here that you have to carry in the van because it's not attached, you slide it up in the mechanism, you hold it down, and with one person you can fold the ladder down. But when we had it, we were noticing that you had to have a second person to accept it because once it would come off the van, it
Came
was
off
just
fast and hard?
all or nothing. So we ended up taking them off. The larger van with the 8-footer in there also carries a 6-footer, and a 4-footer just hangs right here. My guys use the 4-footer a lot because for what we do, I mean, that's typically
It's
most common.
Most ceilings in Florida, 8 to 9 feet, and then 4 foot, you're there.
Yeah. Today, one of these vans and one of the larger high roof vans are on a job in Hammock Beach, and they knew going there that they were going to need some bigger ladders. So I keep a ton of extra ladders in the back of the shop.
I see that.
They brought 4 more ladders with them. So, and then the little van carries a 4-foot ladder inside with a step ladder, and then it has an 8-foot A-frame on top with a 16-foot or 20-foot, excuse me, extension ladder.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're pretty equipped when we get out there, but I will tell you, we do get caught with our pants down sometimes. If I didn't have a ladder in here and I went somewhere where I needed it, then I'd be kind of screwed. But normally we're pretty good about making sure we have what we need in here for the job.
Awesome. Now, Adam is going to take a look at the van from another point of view. So I'm going to send Adam around.
Yep.
Now, Adam, you're going to want to go in through the back.
Yep, exactly. So we'll go ahead and switch the, go ahead. Awesome.
The reason Adam's having to do that is we have lots of light cameras and cables, and it's not easy to get through there.
Right. So I'm
On the other hand, this is entertaining in itself.
Oh yeah, watching me crawl into a van that I haven't crawled in a long time.
Adam, you can sit on that bucket with a seat on it.
See, that's not, oh, look at that. I didn't even notice that before.
That is my go-to when I'm doing a rack.
That's actually super handy, and it's
Wow.
actually got a little...
Okay, pass that back.
Right? Hold on. You got to look at all the cool stuff. It's my turn. Get out of here. That's actually really, really handy. So it actually goes into like a 5-gallon bucket,
And then you can just use it as a seat.
and then you've got a seat. That's super
And if
handy.
you're in a
Turn the
tight
bucket
spot,
upside down.
Right?
If you're in a tight spot doing a rack, then you have this little fan up here that you just aim that up at you while you're doing the rack, and
That's
you stay
fantastic.
nice and
So here in a second, we're going to take the camera, move it over to the other side, and we're going to get a shot of actually this section over here, because what you're going to see on this side is a lot of tools. This is actually where most of the tool packs and everything else that when I crawled in here anyways, where all of that's at. A couple things that I wanted to talk about over here. One was this. This is actually really cool. I didn't notice this before, but this is really handy because one, you've got a seat on to sit on, and on top of that, you also have a trash can.
We call it our trash bucket.
Yeah,
Yep.
This is fantastic for that, and it's not upside down, so you can actually put something inside of it.
Yep.
It's the right height for when you're working on a rack or something else like that. Great use case for that. Now, a couple other things that are in here that I noticed also, one of the first ones being right here, you actually have all of your different blankets and covers and everything else that you would need. So you actually put these down, one, for when you're dealing with
the
anything
first thing we
precarious, right? You put that down on every
First
job.
thing at every job,
Yeah.
moving blankets go down.
Put that down in place for that. That works out really well for it. And you on that pack out, you also have a vacuum on that as well.
I do.
And so you make sure that everything's vacuumed up afterwards. You make sure that everything's almost cleaner than when you went in.
That's a comment that we get, or a compliment that we get on a daily from our clients,
Yeah.
is that the place is cleaner than it was when we arrived.
Cleaner than how you brought it in. That's the whole idea of going out to a park and going for a hike, right?
Absolutely, and we do try to vacuum. I shouldn't say try. We do vacuum everything. Every time we cut into a wall or a ceiling, we've got the vacuum right there, sucking in all the dust.
Also want to talk about this. So this is something that a lot of guys out there don't do and don't have with them. I did not have one of these with me when I was doing my work and whatnot. Is it a mandatory thing for you to use this at every place you stop? Like, you look at some of the ISP trucks out there, every time they stop, even if they're in a parking spot, they have to take out the cone and put it somewhere. Or is this mostly just if you have to park on the side of a street or something?
If we have to park on the side of a street and there's other traffic on that road and maybe somebody's parked across from us, we put that there just as a deterrent to keep people away. A lot of the homes in Margaritaville, they're really, really packed. There's lots of contractors, so that's just a good way of letting people know, don't get too close. I mean, these wraps cost a lot of money. The vans cost a lot of money.
Right.
I will say it took me probably 3 or 4 cones that I ran over by accident before I remembered to check for my cone first.
Check for your cone. Don't run into anything for that.
I even left one in the field a
No.
couple years ago. But
Now also over here in like, for instance, here, is that just a turn? Yep, it is. You've got basically, these are all the parts that you have these are basically shop or job supplies, right? These, you know, just in case supplies, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's stuff that would not be on the original proposal that we might find that we need while we're out in the field, and rather than roll another van, we just keep it in that locked compartment.
well, you even have some like upsale items in here. So you've got like a Nest thermostat, you've got a Nest Mini in here, you've got, you know, some of the Control 4 light switches and stuff. So these could even be like upsell items where the client says, you know, hey, you know, or you see the fact that the client doesn't have a light switch in a certain area, you can say, hey, we'll go and put in a light switch for you over there for however much you want, you know, it's going to be.
It was actually one of the senior VPs of Metro, I won't say his name, but we were on his job doing quite a bit of lighting, and he asked me if we had more dimmers and switches, and I said, no, you already wiped me out. And he said, well, does the other van that's coming have dimmers and switches? And I said, no, but they will the next time.
There you go.
So now the vans do stock, you know, the dimmers and switches.
It's a good use for that.
We do stock them.
Well, and this is a great location for all of this because this is it's out of the way. It's nothing's falling out of place because you've got this the door that actually holds everything in place. But with all of this in here, this allows you to have everything you need. You don't have to be the guy that says, "Hey, let's go ahead and place an order for something the next time," so that the next time we come out, right? You don't have to worry about doing anything like that. This is really cool. One other thing that I want to make note of in here, let's see if I put all this back in here the right way, is the fact that all of these trays, you've done a really good job of labeling them. So for instance, you've got optical cables here, HDMI cables, HDMI cables, HDMI cables. You're actually going through all of these and putting labels on them so that you know exactly what is supposed to be in there. And granted, you have enough in these trays.
Yeah, there's 4 of each size in there. 4 half meter, 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter. And then they get into the next bins. Actually, the one you're in is optical.
Optical, yep. Yeah, so the HDMI cables over here, you've got the half meters, and then you go up into different sizes from there.
We keep 4 of each in there because, I mean, a lot of times if you're doing even just one TV, sometimes you need, you know, multiple cables. Most TVs nowadays only have 3 HDMI inputs, but all of the Sonys have 4.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when you'll be doing 2 or 3 TVs in the same home, and if you don't spec out the cables ahead of time correctly, then you might need to grab something from the van. Now, again, on our jobs, we're sending the guys out with product in addition to what's in the van.
Right.
So this is all backstock in case they thought they needed a 2 meter, but now it could actually be a 1 meter. So let's save the money and get the client, you know, the proper cable.
So if you've already quoted the job with a certain length cable, that's in addition to what's here.
Exactly. That would be put in a box or set in one of these Milwaukee crates to go to the job.
Or God forbid it's bad cable.
Yes, true.
True. And it does happen. As little as it happens, it's still something that you have to worry about or be prepared for, so you don't have to run all the way back to the office or back to the shop.
10 cables, don't bring just 10, bring 12.
Yeah.
One other thing that I want to look at in here also, I'm going to step up over here. This right here, is this in every truck, or is this just yours?
No, that's just mine.
Oh, darn. So this is something, to have something like this is just a raincoat to have in here for everything. As simple as this is, these are the things that I look for when in a show like this today, where we're talking about what are some interesting things that not everyone's going to have on the truck, or they may not think about having on the truck. And it's something like a raincoat is going to be that thing for that, because hey, you know what? We're in Florida. It's going to rain almost every day down here in the summertime, but this is still something to have no matter where you are, because it may be raining and you don't want to get wet when they go inside and have to mess with someone's equipment, right?
Right. The actual reason that I have that in here, though, because my guys and I really hustle. If we get to a job, we're almost running with our stuff to get into the home. The reason I keep the raincoat is because in our compound here, we've got gates that have to be locked at night. And if we're bringing all the vans in and arranging them at night and somebody has to go lock the gate, I like to keep that in there, because I've been caught here before without it. When it's pouring down rain, your shoes are soaking wet. There's nothing you can do about that. But at least if you have the raincoat on, you know, your upper body stays dry.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent, hit the cut button for us, would you? There we go. That's better. So with that, were we on that camera already? Did we switch? Or were we on the other camera?
I just went back to it. I was shooting when you grabbed the raincoat.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. You got me all worried. I thought we were just kind of sitting there. So this is really cool. Just the way that this is all laid out and stuff. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but all of these additional wires and additional cabling are actually continuing that direction. They actually are the entire wall here for this. Something else that's on here is TV mounts, and going based on what you said, Chris, where we have more, where the stuff that's here already, that is already, you know, inventoried for the truck, is additional items, which means that you have additional TV mounts just in case.
Because that could change on the job.
Yeah. I sure will.
Yeah, we find all the time on a job, you spec the job out and you think that you got the right mount figured out, but then you realize to be centered on a wall, you either have to use like not that one, but the adjustable one.
I don't know the model numbers either. Don't
It's
worry about
an FML64PL. Excuse me, I couldn't think about it at
He
first.
knows model numbers better than I know the model numbers.
FML64PL.
Yeah.
That's a mount that...
As our realignment of the mount program continues forward, he's on our R&D top persons list because
Yes, he is.
It's ever seen his Facebook page?
Yep.
He hangs on his Instagram.
Absolutely. Precise audio hang test.
Yep. Yeah, Chris does and actually, can the people find you on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot?
Yeah.
Is it just at Precise Audio?
The Instagram is Precise Audio FL, and then the Facebook is just Precise Audio.
So track down Chris's Instagram. It's actually really cool. I don't know if you guys are doing it very much anymore, but
we really don't anymore. But there's still some cool stuff on there from back in the day.
Yeah, go check it out. Him and his crew go on there, and as a test, they'll actually hang from the mounts themselves. And of course, he uses Metro AV mounts.
It's nice because he's young and healthy and can hang on the mount.
Yes, exactly.
I'm flopping on the floor.
You know what, Brent? I'd like to see you actually try to do that. So, actually, switch it back over to the other camera if you would, sir. Okay, so over here on this side of the truck, we have most of the actual tools and whatnot. Now, one thing I noticed also with this, and this may just because of the tools that you have on the truck, I've counted 3 vacuums on this one truck. And that's fantastic. Guys, when you are going out there and doing these jobs, it's a really good thing. Clean up after yourselves. The motto of making it cleaner than when you got there, do it. Because honestly, the client's going to remember it, right?
Absolutely.
That's something that has actually set you apart from many of the dealers in the area. Being the clean guy, being the guy that goes in there, does it clean, does it the right way, make sure that it's left to where it's in pristine condition. It's almost a white glove aspect to it, which really works really well for you guys.
Yeah, it does.
So I've noticed here, we have the pack out has I don't know where it went over on that side. The pack out has the vacuum on it. There's a vacuum back over here as well.
That's typically for when we're cutting in ceiling speakers. That's got the longer hose that'll reach a 10 to 12 foot ceiling. So, and it's got a little bit more power. I think that one's a 4.5, 5 horsepower.
Yeah.
So if we're cutting somebody's ceiling, we're not doing it with a battery vacuum, trying to carry it up on the ladder and hold it and depend on it not falling. That can just sit on the ground and the hose will reach the ceiling. So you can have somebody up there, single person actually, cutting in a hole while they're vacuuming up the dust.
Very nice.
Some guys will go up there and put a piece of cardboard box under the hole and cut it from the ceiling. I mean, we've been in business 17 years. We've seen how people do it different ways, but this allows us to be in the AC comfortable environment, cutting from down low.
Yep.
While we're vacuuming up the dust on top of a moving blanket. So if anything, God forbid, did fall down, it's going to land on that blanket.
Exactly.
And then we also keep a broom and a dustpan in every van as well.
So, and that's actually really important for the vacuuming portion of it, to where you have enough power to suck up all of that, because the drywall, especially when you're cutting out ceiling speakers, the drywall dust, it can go anywhere and everywhere.
Absolutely.
So enough power to actually suck in all of that's going to make a big difference. So tell me, we've talked about Milwaukee this entire time for the most part, but you do have a couple DeWalt stuff over here as well. Is there anything in these DeWalts that jumps out at you, or what's the purpose of these over on this side?
Well, this is all high voltage connectors and supplies. I like these because of the way they fit in these Cargo Master shelving. If you buy the shelving or the bins from Cargo Master, I think they're like $39, $45, somewhere in that range per bin. These are $20. And they fit like a glove in there.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It just accepts them when you put them down in there. So every van, every one of the 5 has these currently in there now. They're easy. You can stack them on each other. You can lock them into each other. They don't integrate into the pack out, but that's not a problem. Normally, if you're coming to grab one of these, it's because you need something that you didn't think you needed before. And I always tell my guys, if you need to go to the van to grab one bang-on bushing out of here, grab the whole box. Don't just grab it and go back inside the house, because that's not efficient. Grab the whole box, because the chances of you needing another one or something else that's in this box is very likely.
Yeah, that's really good stuff. Also, he's got another really good thing in here, Brent. Label maker.
Oh, Also in every single van, and I keep one in my Tahoe.
So the label maker is fantastic, and Brent and I have a history of label maker issues.
I love label makers.
The label makers are fantastic. Now, is this the one? Is it Dymo that has the shrink wrap labels?
I actually have some of that, but I haven't found the right size shrink wrap to fit on some of the larger cables.
That's the drawback with that one is you pretty much have to buy your shrink wrap from WBT because they also sell the pre-made labels.
Right.
Or the Dymo, so that's a little bit of a drawback. And particularly with the Dymo, I label everything in a rack.
Yeah.
Satellite 1, Satellite 2, Satellite 3, Satellite 4.
Yep.
Press here to hard reset, press here to soft reset.
Now, when you do your designs, and actually this is a little bit of a debate between Brent and myself. When you do your designs, are you going based on a map that you have elsewhere, so you number the wires, or do you actually label the wires as what they are? So like kitchen speakers or kitchen HDMI or whatever it is. How do you go about doing that? Do you have a map that you create, so you label it, so here's kitchen, but then do you say it's number 1, 2, 3, 4?
Absolutely. So if we're doing, say we're doing data closet for somebody, and we've got multiple data drops going in, then we would label, D1, D2, D3, D4 on each side. We don't typically have a map, but when we're just doing HDMIs, we just label right below the head of the cable. We label each end because it's important. We do a lot of power-controlled devices. It's important to know when you're going back later to input those devices in for power control.
Yep.
It's nice to know exactly what they are, so you're not depending on, I think I plugged it in outlet 1. You should just label both sides. So
right.
Absolutely. No, I know for a fact this is an EA5 controller. I don't want to call it in the system an EA3 or a different part number, because then when I go to power cycle it, it might not power cycle the right thing. So
right. Yeah.
These recently have also made it into every van. I had 3 and now I've got 5 right now, and the guys love them. They use them.
They're great.
They got to be there for you to use them. I feel like if it's not there in the van, then they're not going to use it.
You're not going to get anything out of it.
I label on mine the HDMI cables, coax cables, power cables, IR cables. If it's Satellite 1, for example, every one of those cables is labeled 1.
Right.
So I know where it goes.
Right.
And if it's not, if the switch is not labeled, I put a 1 on that port.
Yes. Now, in here, we've got a couple, some more stuff, obviously. Now, a couple things that I noticed right away is you've got your chargers and stuff in here for the power tools. You've got your DeWalt and your Milwaukee. Are those specifically to just the drills and whatnot, or are they just to any of the battery packs that are used by those systems?
That'll go to any battery that's in any of the vans.
Okay.
Is that wire lube?
I do. Yep. You got some a good bottle of wire lube there.
That is.
Now, how often do you find yourself actually needing wire lube?
Only when we're pulling massive amounts of wire through PVC conduit. We don't really use it that often. I've had that same bottle for probably a little over a year.
Which I think most people have had it for at least a year, and however long the lube's in.
Recently, we had to put 14-4 direct burial cables into a 1.25 inch pipe, and we probably went through half of one of those bottles.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of wire to get into an 1.25 inch.
Yes, it is.
When we did the networking cable for the beach house on the exterior,
Yep.
that certainly was worth
makes a difference.
Yes.
What is that? Rack screws.
That's an extra jar. We keep them in every pack out, or every van has a pack out with rack screws in there, but that's just a backup.
There we
Now,
go.
are those Phillips or Torx heads?
It looks like Phillips, yeah.
They're Phillips. 10-30 seconds.
Yep. Very cool. And so then we were talking before also, we've got this section up here at the top, we've got additional tools and whatnot. I asked you about the lighting that you had. You've got one here that you said this is one that you use when you're up in an attic, and it's just a DeWalt with just the end of it there on that, which is great. You've got, it looks like a Husky back here.
Yeah.
And then where's that third one that we were looking at?
The third one, I think the battery actually just died. It's mounted on the side of the shelf there.
This guy here? There we are.
Yeah, that one's great because it's got a nice strong magnet. You can hang it on the side of a rack. You can stick it on the roof. That is the 12 volt. They do make an 18 volt. A lot of guys say they like the 12 volt better. That would fall if you were driving down the road. So I always put it on the side.
Got it. Very cool.
I don't have the best lighting in the van, so that one gets used even when I'm inside here. But
makes sense.
We're gonna fix that soon.
Good.
Yeah. By the way, Heist Lighting from Metro has a great van kit that we'll make sure Chris gets, so that if there's ever a backup program to this, he will be fully lit. I like that.
Gotta have a blower in every van. When
right?
the guys get out of the attics, it's nice to blow all the debris off of you and feel like you're clean going back in. We do change our shirts before we go in an attic, but still when you come out, that's always nice to have. And just for blowing out the van. I blow out the van every time I get out of it if I'm done for the day.
That's the other thing that I noticed about this is that all the tools are clean. Yeah. All of the vacuums and everything else that are in here, everything's clean. There's not really any dust or anything that's sitting on them. There's not leftover residue of drywall dust or anything else that's caked on them or anything like that. You do a very good job of maintaining them, and that probably helps the lifespan of those tools, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So that's very good
I'm a little bit obsessive about wiping mine down. I don't expect my guys to have them looking like that all the time, but
sure.
A lot of times on the weekend, if I pick one up to check a battery, because I do that often, I'll check to see if their batteries are charged. If they're not, then it goes on the bench to charge, and then I'll wipe them down.
Sure. Well, now you are the boss, and the boss doesn't do as much work as the other. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So some other cool stuff that are up here, of course, you've got the fan, which I probably should have had this running while I was doing today's episode for myself.
Go ahead, fire
it up. This thing's great. Let's see, there it is. Ooh, not bad.
It's really nice when you're, tucked behind a rack in a closet, pointed up at you.
You know, some people would say that why would you buy a name brand like DeWalt or anything like that in a fan? But the truth is that it's great because you use the battery packs that you're already using. It's really good stuff for just that one purpose.
And quiet.
And it also has a 110 outlet on the back of it, so you could just plug it in with an extension cord.
Nice.
And some people say that too about the radio. The radio we don't use that often, but that will also charge the 12 volt and 20 volt batteries.
Yeah, and let's be honest, when you're on a job site by yourself, that extra noise is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know this is probably the second most important thing on this truck though for myself anyways. I like to have music and stuff when I'm working, especially now of course not when there's clients and stuff there, but if I'm working on a new job site or something like that, having a radio and having some tunes going, I think for me is just optimal.
Sure.
Great stuff.
Doesn't get used as much because recently I got the guys Sonos Roams, which is just a small little Bluetooth speaker that they just post up next to them wherever they're working, and they love it. But the fact that will charge a battery also is a benefit.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah. For everybody that can't see Chris's shop, I'm reasonably sure he has more Sonos than Sonos right now, and certainly more Marantz AVRs than Marantz, because and television, Sony's.
Yes, very, very, very much so.
We were standing in awe. It's like, okay, we work directly with these companies and we can't get these parts.
Right.
Well, I got on a rotation with a lot of these companies when COVID first hit, and with Marantz, like you can't go to crutchfield.com right now and buy Marantz. You can't go to Best Buy. You can't go to Best Buy and buy Marantz. I'm sitting on probably 30 AVRs right now because every time they shipped 4, they put me back in rotation for another 4. We push out probably 8 to 10 a month. So being on that rotation for the last 2 years, it's really helped because before I wouldn't sell a Marantz to somebody off the street. If somebody wanted an AVR, we're only installing it if we're selling the labor. Now if somebody needed an AVR, I'm going to get that relationship with them by just selling them the product because, hey, they can't go to the local big box store that's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, but they can come to the little guy who's got more inventory on some of those parts that are harder to find. So that's the same thing that I did with TVs.
And can sell them a backup pair of speakers and Sonos and a TV mount.
Now, I think Trent's getting us set up on the lighting on that side, so here in just a second, I'd actually like to go ahead and show off a little bit of your shop a little bit, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I know that today was supposed to be the truck show, but
the whole shop is amazing.
The whole shop is great.
Did you want to talk about any of the, I think if this is what's in your truck, there are a couple parts that you guys supply that I think have saved us in the field.
Then please share.
The AIO2, for instance.
Thank you.
That's a perfect part that we were doing a big Control 4 job, distributed video, distributed audio everywhere, and
I'll let you hold that.
I was on the job site with you on that one.
Yes, you were, and because of you stopping by, there's now one of these in every single van. We were having an issue with a Spectrum cable box not sending HDMI with a delay. We had to have a way to reset the hot plug. We pulled this in, or put this in, programmed it in with Control 4, so that we can go in there and toggle the relay to change the timing on that hot plug going to the TV. Am I saying that correctly?
Close enough.
Okay, well, you come in and say. But
no, you're
this
doing a
little
great
guy
job.
saved our butt because the client would always go to use the room, Netflix would work, they'd go to Disney, that would work, but then as soon as they would go to that cable box that they're paying an arm and a leg for monthly, they would not get video. So this, in fact, allows us to toggle that relay even remotely.
Some other cool things on here. Surge protector, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's
HDMI
Florida.
surge. It's Florida. Got to get that. It is Florida. Oof, man, it's hot in here. You got to get that surge
You weren't
protector out there. I am, very much so. get that search picture. And honestly, these are great for in a lot of applications. You know, you've got an active cable, you've got other TVs,
A matrix.
stuff. A matrix. Good use case for all of those. That's really good stuff.
Another thing is the digital audio extender. That's another part that made it into every van.
It's great when you can't make ARC work
Yeah.
as the voice off camera.
Yeah, got that right here. And you'll have to go in and reorganize your truck after I go through and tear everything out of here. So yeah, you got the digital audio extender, and these are things that, gee, I completely forgot that I needed something like this on the job, and you already have it on the truck, and it's good to go.
Yeah,
that's fantastic for that. You've got
also, you got to have the IR kit in there. You got to have
Yep.
HDMI splitters because somebody's always asking you last minute, oh, well, I wanted to see the cameras over here and over there. And also the extender, the 120 extenders by Metro. We use those a lot for surveillance and VR to go far distance to a TV, but then maybe they want to loop it out into a local AVR. You give them both for, you know, the price of one. So
yeah,
another great product that made its way. It's not cheap, but it's in every van for a reason.
yeah.
And
No,
it gets used.
that extender is great for that purpose. I mean, and again, the important part is that it's already on the truck.
Exactly.
You don't have to go back to the shop. You don't have to go back to the office and get that part. This is something that's just always there so that your guys know they have something to as a backup.
Right.
But it's also there as a, oh man, you know, they're asking for that thing that they didn't ask for when I was first here.
And it happens every day, every job.
Always something new like that.
My guy ran into something today with a DirecTV box. He didn't have the module, the serial plug to plug into the back to give the 2-channel audio out. Going into a local Denon that was a 1500 series model that does not allow digital to zone 2.
Right.
All it had on the back of that DirecTV box was digital out, so had to use a DAC, digital to audio or analog converter. Another great thing that should be in every van, the D2D, another one that we use. I was giving Brent a hard time because I'm waiting on 4 more of these. We got one of these in every van, and I normally keep 4 on the back shelf, but these things save us.
Yeah, the
And until recently, we realized that, because of you guys, thank you, that it will support 5.1.
Yes.
Yes.
For a long time, we didn't think that it would. We thought that it would only support 2-channel, but
Yep. No, that one will support the Dolby Digital.
So yeah, it's
And
a
I've
great way to
put
get
these
audio
against-
back to a.
am I allowed to say other people's brands?
Sure.
I don't want to badmouth anybody, but I've used these against Atlonas, and they're just as good. No problem. And the price point is, I'd say, about a third less for this product.
Make sure to tell the CFO to cut him an extra check.
Bigger pizza.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, just a little.
Bigger pizza.
No, this is you're absolutely right with this. This is something, and again,
What's in your truck?
We're on your truck, and so the thing is that we're not the only product that's out that's on your truck. And I have to say that when I look around the truck, I'm not going to call out because I'm not, you know, it's not my company, but I'm not. But the thing is that there are other items that you have on this truck that are in the same fashion. It's the same thing where it's like, why would you have a D2D on your truck? This is something that would be spec'd into a job because you should know whatever it is. But the truth of the matter is that even if you do know, something always comes up. Something
They
new
have a
is
TV
happening.
you don't know about.
And another
Exactly.
scenario that also occurred today on another crew that's up in hammocks, they were going to put in a D2D on a brand new 2022 Sony TV, but on the other side of where they're sending the audio, the older Matrix does not support digital. So they were going to switch to a DAC, but I said, don't forget, you got that 3.5 output on the back of that Sony.
That's
It's
right.
already there.
That's right. Yep. And so then you would actually wind up using your audio extender, which
The
you
C5
have
SA.
SA1. That's right.
Which is in the truck.
Which is in the truck. So that's already there and ready, and you're ready to use it, and you're good to go, basically. I mean, that's
And the nice
fantastic.
thing about using that piece, particularly with the headphone jack, is you don't have to worry about any down conversion. It's already done at the TV.
Yeah. No, this is fantastic. This is something that
You
I
going to get it back
honestly.
in the right place?
I'll do it later.
Yeah, I
Don't
was
worry
going to say
about
he's
it.
going to go through and have to reorganize all of this.
Another
'cause-
part that we recently did purchase from you guys, to throw you another little bone, the new HDMI audio breakout tool with Dolby. That,
The
I don't
AOD.
have room for it in here yet because
no.
it's packed, but I'm going to make room in every van for that part to be in there because
You
that
know,
thing
I
is
do
worth having.
I do see some stuff on here that's from another company that ends with AV. You could just rip that stuff out and put it in. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. I'm kidding.
There's a large garbage can.
There is no. I'm kidding. No, I honestly, this is one of those things that I always have a belief in that every manufacturer has some stuff that someone else doesn't have, and I think it's a good thing to have available to you.
Yeah.
Trent, are we about ready to move over there? Fantastic. So I do want to show off some more of the rest of your shop a little bit, if that's okay. So we're actually going to go over here to this side of the shop. We're going to show off a little bit of that over there. Whoop, if I can get down. Go ahead and switch us over there. So where are we at?
So we can do it.
Where's the camera?
The camera's over there.
There you are. Ha! Found you. Okay. So this is really cool. There we go. Okay. So.
Are you pretty? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I am making sure I'm pretty. This is really cool how all of this is set up over here because there is so much going on in the truck for one, but we talked with Chris a little bit about how he makes sure that the inventory is correct on the truck. And that's a really important thing because yeah, it's one thing to have all this stuff on there, but what if you use it? What happens next? You have to make sure that it goes back onto the truck. Now, one of the processes that Chris was talking about using is the fact that every day at the end of that day, his technicians have already made a note of whatever's been used. They will take that note and either come back to the shop and go off of that note to decide what needs to happen, or what they'll do is they'll take that note or they'll just know off the top of their head, and they'll come back before the end of the day, they'll make sure that they pull whatever they need that needs to be refilled on the truck. Now, again, what works really well about this is that they're not pulling for every job out of their truck because they've already quoted that job for whatever purpose it is. So because of that, what they're doing is they're ensuring that the truck has most of what it needs because they've already quoted that in the job, so that's in addition to what's already there. What they'll do instead is that if they need to pull something from the truck, they'll make that note, come back to the shop at the end of the day, go back over here to this section. It actually continues on down that way, and they'll say, okay, well, we had to use an MHX 3-meter cable.
From the top left, though.
Oh, where did I pull that from? I think I pulled it from there, right?
Yeah. Top left is the oldest, first to go out.
Oldest, first to go out. So
top left on the MHX LHDME 3, straight
got
up, two times. One more.
There you go, right there. So this is the oldest, right? So you actually cycle through. You do first in, first out.
Absolutely.
Very fantastic. So make sure that, yeah, this is really good stuff for everybody out there to maintain. First in, first out is really important. Let's be honest, our cables don't really change. The packaging does. And that's something that's important also to maintain because you could be pulling from something that's an older stock item you could be pulling from a newer stock item, using that, and then when you come back, now you have older stock item that is maybe showing an 18 gig instead of a 48 gig label on it. Mm-hmm. And so in that case, you could be throwing something off. And now in most cases, probably the MHX, the client may not see the packaging per se, but what if they do? That's one of those things where what if they do see it, oh, it only says 18 gigs, what are you doing? I thought I needed 48 gigs. Or whatever else it is.
I had somebody question a T3260 because we were putting a 65 on it. I know that the weight will support, it'll support the weight of a 65, but I had a client say, oh no, that only says that it'll do up to a 60-inch TV.
Which is why we took part model inches off the boxes, because in the early days, TVs are so darn heavy that we actually put, okay, it's a 32 to a 48 or whatever, but yeah, we switched to VESA patterns for that reason.
Yeah. Now, what you don't see over here, and actually it's off camera just a little bit, and I'm going to take a picture of it and put it on Instagram, because over on that side, we were talking earlier about the fact that he has inventory of Marantz, and maybe I shouldn't show this or not, because some guys are going to be really jealous and really upset about it, but he has enough inventory that I think you could handle probably 3 or 4 other dealers out there and what they need to get some jobs done. So, and it's not to say that you're hoarding or anything. You just put yourself in a really good position.
Everything's dated. If you want to see when it was purchased, the purchase dates are on every single one of those boxes.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Now something like that, and that's good. That's a good practice as well to know when it came in.
I'm going to ask you a question: is that you or your wife handling all that?
That's
portion?
me handling every bit of the labeling.
That's awesome.
And I label them so that my guys can easily identify, okay, if there's a bunch of 5015s next to a bunch of 6015s, they can see, okay, well, on these 5015s, it was, say, January 21st, 2022. They know where to go to pull from. Because some of the rotations here change depending on if you pull from the left, you pull from the right. But if they're dated, which it only takes 2 seconds, if you're getting 4 receivers in, it takes you maybe 20 seconds to write the date on them. They'll always know which one to pull. And if you order 4 and 2 of them come one day and then 2 come another, but they're 4 or 5 days apart, it's important so that you can see. But as you look at them, you'll notice that none of that equipment's been sitting here. It's all been moving constantly.
Yeah, and you've just created that relationship with your suppliers to be able to have that.
It's almost automated. Where if they see 4 shipped, they order me 4 more.
Yeah, just keep it going. Basically, that's very cool. So guys, I think at this point, just showing this off is really important because there's so much here to put into practice in your own locations, in your own shop, in your own truck. Lots of this stuff is just important to have for yourselves and just have it ready and good to go on your end. What I'd like to do actually is to go ahead and pass it back over. What's that, Brent?
1 hour.
We're at an hour? Wow, that flew by really quick.
It did.
I didn't realize. What I'd like to do, Brent, is actually go ahead and switch us back over to this camera here.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and open up this. There we go. I'll come over here. Switch us back over. Haha. Everybody, again, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a wonderful show. There's so much that we didn't talk about that we could have. And there's so much that...
There's so much of the shop.
There's so much of the shop. There really is. And actually, what you guys don't see that I made a comment about that I didn't realize that was in here. Behind the camera, can I say that?
Yeah.
Can I talk about it? Behind the camera, there's actually a half pipe. You've got your kids that do all that stuff.
32 feet long.
32 foot long half pipe back behind
I
here.
walked in, my first thought was, can I break a leg before the show?
That would be hilarious. That,
And I appreciate the love
I
and the
know,
support.
I know.
You have to sign a waiver first before you can step
There
foot
you go.
on that.
That's how that works. But the thing is that what that tells me here is that you live this shop. This is something where you come in here, time off. You know, everything about your business and everything about your shop is you. You make sure that it runs the way that you expect it to run, and you're very present with it. And that's noticeable. You can almost feel it in the way that you maintain things to make sure that everything works the way that it should.
His employee retention is tremendous as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and in a time when everybody's looking for people,
I've got great people.
I've seen the same people on the jobs year after year after year.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Which
very
is amazing.
fortunate for that.
Is
My
your-
guys are great.
Is your head big enough yet? Have we talked tonight? No, I'm kidding. No, honestly though, this is fantastic. We've really appreciated you opening up your truck and opening
I
up your
appreciate you guys
warehouse
coming by.
and your
It's been
shop.
cool.
I do have a question. Explain the tags over there.
There's no rhyme or reason. Just been saving them. My mom, long story, she was going to throw a bunch of them out, and I just wanted to save them.
There you
Okay.
go. Very cool.
I didn't know if they were previous companies.
Some of them are.
Yeah.
No, some of them are personal vehicles, but no.
Yeah, just got a wall of license plates. So, everybody, thank you for checking us out today. Real quick, Trent, would you check the laptop there? Are there any remaining questions that people have asked along the way?
What model van is that?
Oh, yeah. Do you know what
This is the 1500, 136-inch wheelbase,
I don't know if it says
2018
anything.
Ram ProMaster.
Yeah. Now, you also talked about some of the bigger trucks are the Ford.
I've got two of the Ford 250 high roof with the longest wheelbase. Those are pretty big.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact wheelbase, but yeah.
What about your smaller trucks that you have running, or your smaller vans?
I have a 128-inch wheelbase Ford Transit Connect, and I just ordered another one of those. And then the oldest van, which is the ProMaster City, that I don't remember the wheelbase, but I would say it's probably 116, 118, somewhere
Gotcha.
in there.
Very cool.
How much use does it get?
It gets used every day. It just pulled back in. If you look at the camera, it's sitting right outside the door.
Ah,
Yep.
That little van has been so efficient and great to have. Granted, you're not going to be able to put anything bigger than a 65-inch TV in there with the shelving and everything else that's in there, but it's great
a
on
great work
gas.
van.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. And for us that are doing the programming and the design, it makes more sense for us to be in the small van. Yeah, it's not as big as a billboard, but it gets the job done, and it saves us a lot of money not having to run all the big vans. But
Very cool. Were there any other questions?
No question.
No? Very cool. Let's go ahead and
Okay.
wrap it up today, guys. Again, once again, Chris, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
allowing us to come in and do this.
yeah,
It's been
it
great.
truly was
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you.
And not just for you allowing us, but your participation in this, your willingness to answer questions and make some suggestions. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this has been great. Everybody, again, if you're watching this after the fact, like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell notification to let you know whenever we do go live, which of course is every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
And every Friday at
3 p.m. And that's Eastern time, of course. Come back next week. I believe we're talking about either something surveillance related or we're talking about system designs next
I
week.
legitimately have no clue.
I'll have to find out for sure. But come back this Friday, where we're actually going to we're going to
Following up on
pre-record
today's
it.
theme.
Yeah, we're going to follow up on today's theme. We're going to pre-record it, but we're going to talk about our bulk pack install bay cables. And because that's something
it's
that goes
obvious
in a
we're
truck.
pre-recording it because it's going to be in the
It's
back
going
of
to be
this
right in
van.
the back of the truck. So we'll see. We'll see everybody here this coming Friday. Come back and watch that video. Come back next week where we'll talk about one of those two things. I can't remember which one it is.
Or something else.
Something else. We'll see. But at that point, everybody, if you have any other questions about whatever it is that we talked about today, if you have a question for Chris, of course, feel free to leave us a comment in our comment section. We'll make sure that question gets over to you, and you'll have a chance to answer that question. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for checking us out. Brent,
I'm Brent.
sign us off.
I'm Brent.
thank you guys.
Adam.
Chris.
That's
thank
Chris.
You.
That's Chris.
Reboot early.
Reboot often.
Turn off CEC.
Don't cut your wires too short.
Call tech support. And have a great day.
We'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. We got to find out how to turn this off first.
We're still here.